Hello Stampers, my name is Linda Bedinger and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Denver, Colorado, and this is my buddy Puccini. He keeps me company in the craft room. We have a very fun card today using some of the free paper from Wonderful World in Celebration. So let's just get started. Here is my card. Now this is using this Wonderful World paper from Celebration, and I used this page. I cut one whole piece of this paper and fussy cut the images out, and here's a couple of them, different looks at different of the flowers, and so I used this paper, and then I also used this paper here because it has, I think, the representations of almost all of these flowers. Might not be exactly 100% of them, but I believe that there's also another paper in here. There's one, and this one that would pick up the colors and or the images that aren't in this paper. And so depending on which one you'd be using, you could set that up. And so that is what I've done. And then the stamp set that I'm using is from Happiness Abounds, and I've got down here, sending many thanks for all you do. And I'll show you one other card that I made doing this same thing, and I've made a couple changes as a result. This was the first one that I made, and I used one of those images and then did the same kind of thing on the inside that I did with this one. The biggest difference here is that this, I didn't like this connection of the papers, and so on this one I had it go all the way across. Also on this one the stamping isn't very good. It's faint, it's dark in one spot, not in the other, and this one, it came out perfect. The difference was I decided that on this particular card, because the stamp is so long, that probably it would make sense to do this in the Stamparatus. And so I did use the Stamparatus on this one, so I was able to stamp it a couple times, and that came out much better. So what do we need to make this card? I used a card base, regular A2 card base, 8.5 by 5.5, scored and folded at 4 1/4. Then I have a piece of Pear Pizzazz, and this piece is 4 inches by 4 1/4. Then I have a piece of Mossy Meadow that is 4 inches by 5 1/4. Then I have a piece to layer on that on the inside that is 3 3/4 by 5. And then I have 2 1/4-inch strips of this Mossy Meadow paper, one that is 4 1/4 inches long, which is going to go down our paper like this, and one that is 4 inches long. And that's going to allow us to make that darker image on the front here and match everything. And I did cut my paper so that I picked up the flower, whatever I was using. So I've got this one, this one. So this one is going to be, I'm going to use this one. And so I will be cutting a little piece of paper. And this piece of paper is 3/4 of an inch by 4 1/4. And then for the inside, this piece of Pear Pizzazz is 5 inches by 1/2 inch. And then this piece of the Designer Series paper is 3/5 of an inch by 5 inches. And we'll just cut those, and I'll show you how I did it. In fact, maybe we can just do that, get started there. So I made sure that on this one, since I used these pink flowers, I cut a strip of this paper that showed that particular flower here along this edge. When I made this one, I made sure that I had some of these white flowers along that edge. Now, if we're going to make this one is an iris, and I can see iris a couple of places, but it looks like, see if I make this, what did I say? This needs to be 3/4 of an inch. So what I'm going to do is I want mostly this to show. So I'm going to nip off a little bit of that paper so that when I cut my 3/4 of an inch, that piece will definitely be in there. Okay, so there we go. There's my 3/4 of an inch. I'm going to cut that, and then I'm going to cut that off by 4 1/4. So I will have those flowers there to show here. And then for the inside, I need a piece that is 3/5 of an inch, and I've got one of those things there, so I'm going to try and cut that at 3/5 of an inch. Maybe I'll make it just a tiny bit bigger than that so I catch most of that flower. And then that would be by 5 inches. There we go. All right, I think we're all set to go. And you can make a whole bunch of cards just cutting out that one page that has all those big, beautiful flowers on it. So let's see. The very first thing we're going to do is do our stamping, and I have my stamp all set up on my Stamparatus. And because it's photopolymer, I have my sheet in here, and I'm going to put just a tiny bit of snail on the inside of that so that'll stay closed. And I'm going to set that up right on the edge of my Stamparatus and put some magnets in place here, there and there. And then my stamp is set up to do my stamping right across the bottom there. And I'm using the Mossy Meadow ink because that seems to carry across on all of the flowers from that page. So I'm going to ink up my stamp and give that one time, and then I'm going to ink it up again, get it ready to go. Here it's not that it's a big stamp, it's just long, and if you don't get the pressure just right across all of it, you don't get the kind of stamp that you want. And I'm just going to put a tiny bit more on this end and get that sending one more time. And there we go. Now that stamp just, well, now it looks to me like it needs one more all the way across everything. Isn't that wonderful about the Stamparatus? And you can just keep doing it until you get it right. There we go. That's all set and ready to go. So the next thing we're going to do is to go ahead and put our first layer together here. So this piece is 4 inches by 4 1/4, and the 4 inches goes across the top and 4 1/4 down. And so that then needs this piece that we cut to go right along that edge, and I want that flower, because that's the one we're going to use, right on the edge. So I'm going to take my silicone mat and add some adhesive to this and set this into place right at the top and right along that edge. This is actually quite a fast card once you have your fussy cutting completed. It's just goes together very quickly. Then I have a piece of this Mossy Meadow that is also the 4 1/4, and I'm going to get some snail along it and put that into place right here along that edge. And then if you have any that's hanging over, you can just snip it off. Okay, then I have my other piece that is 4 inches, and we're going to set that right along the bottom, again right up against the edge, and put that in place all the way across the card. What I learned in making this is the first one that I did, I had a piece that came down to the edge and then a piece that just came up to there, and I didn't like the way that seam looked. So this going all the way across solved that problem for me. So that's what we have here. Now this piece is ready to go on our stamped card front here, and so I'm going to add some seal on this piece and put it in place. And we'll center that right on the front of this card, leaving a margin top and sides about the same. There we go, we're all ready to go. Next, this piece. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some dimensionals . Okay, this piece is now ready to go right on the front of our card. And there we have it. Oh, that's so pretty. All right, now for the inside, we have our piece of Mossy Meadow and white here. I'm going to put those two pieces together. There we go. And then I have my piece that has our little iris on it. Then we need a piece of pear pizzazz that is 5 inches by a 1/2 inch. And we're going to go ahead and get that done. And set that in place for the inside of our card. Then we have our piece that is the 3/5 of an inch by 5 inches, and we're going to center that one on that piece of pear pizzazz going all the way down the card. There we go. And then I have this piece, which is another iris already cut, and we're just going to make that a little bit shorter because we don't need that big a profile for the inside, and cut it off right about there. And we're going to set that in place right down here on our card for the inside. So I'll add some adhesive there, put that in place right down here, and then this piece is ready to go on the inside of the card. And so we'll get that ready here. Oh, I did put that little bit of adhesive on here to hold that shut while I was doing my stamping, so I need to take that off. And then this piece is ready to go right on the inside of the card. There we go. Isn't that pretty? So there we have our card done. Now what I did was I used some of our new, this was in the annual catalog, this is some of the iridescent basic pearls, and they're so pretty. They have a tendency to pick up whatever color is near them. So I'm going to set a couple of these around on my card, putting some of the smaller ones right here. I'm going to put one right next to our flower. It'll draw your eye to that. And then add another couple. Well, I need my take a pick tool so I can pick that up. And put a couple more of these around on the card. Put this little one right up there. There we go, all ready. Now, one more. I'm going to add one to the bottom here. I kind of like the way that looked on the other one. Okay, there we go. That is my project for the day. Thank you so much for stopping by my YouTube channel today. I do so appreciate it. And if you don't already have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, well, I'd love to be your demonstrator. Or you could join my team. Right now through Celebration, July and August, there is a join offer. You have your $125 worth of product for $99, and then there is a planner that's available. It's a pretty good sized one. I want to say 8 by 9 or 8.5 by 9.5. So it's a pretty good sized notebook, faux leather, but it's got all kinds of beautiful flowers on it. It's in the back of the Celebration catalog. And it's got page dividers, it's got month dividers, it's got stickers, it's got a 28 stamp set that goes with it. So it's an extra stamp set, and it's got all kinds of great things. A nice looking planner, and for taking notes and keeping track of what's going on in your Stampin' Up! World and the rest of your world. But that's it. If you have any questions, please give me a call. I'm happy to talk to you about it. Just give me a holler, and no pressure. I just like to talk to you. Let's see. Prize draw for the month is a $60 shopping spree on me. You get yourself in the drawing by putting an order of any size on my store, bedinger.stampinup.net. And you can get to it through my blog, www.ingenuity.com. This card will be up on my blog by the end of the week. And I think my blog is caught up. I owe you a Puccini picture, and I have a couple of them picked out, so we'll get something up on that. And, oh, somebody's going to mention this. This wasn't the kitty. Oftentimes I have little marks on my arm because the kitty's gotten me. This was a fight with a rose bush, and the rose bush won. I've been doing some gardening, and it really got me. And so that's it for me today. I will be back soon with more cards, more tips, and more projects. Bye.